orders akuba bana Uganda mujja kweyagala mujja kuba n'ekitiibwa ate mujja kusasula bulungi.
A while ago, after Bobi Wine had finished his campaign, we saw police officers blocking him from going back to his home. Remember, they prevented him from going back to his home after finishing campaign. You clearly see that our election process is short of, I think, I even feel scared to call it a free and fair election, because we have an election where a candidate is guided wherever he goes. I've normally followed the elections, most especially in sub-Saharan Africa, where there is seemingly of democracy, like in Ghana, in Kenya. If it is time for elections, for as long as you're supposed to be in a district, you can utilize it as you want. In fact, in different countries like Kenya, candidates even go on to make stopovers on the roadside to address the people until they get to their final destination. Here in Uganda, they are designed a campaign where a candidate is not allowed to do roadside rallies. They are the one to give you roads you are supposed to pass in, and they do it unconsciously, where a certain candidate is passed through the villages, another one is allowed to pass through towns where there are people. And for me, I feel bad. In fact, let me first play with the tape as Bobi Wine was being blocked from entering his home. Here's the tape. As you can see, the police was blocking Bobi Wine from going back to his home, and the commander was trying to make a formation so that maybe they can arrest him. Remember, a presidential candidate normally has bodyguards, so it cannot be as easy as some commanders would want it to be to arrest a presidential candidate, unless when the commander first withdraws security. So as they were blocking him, a commander started making a formation, which is unfortunate. It took Bobi Wine's wisdom to first come out to say, let me get an alternative route, instead of putting my ADs, my supporters in crossfire. Let's continue with the video.
Why do you think that we are not violent? Most of all, they need to be violent. But you're going to pray for them. Because we have not the Tubakuya Mahindra, the Tubakuya Mahinda, which are called violence, because the world is watching, we are not violent, and you are unleashing violence on people. Hey, you cannot provoke that into violence. Okay? You are using impunity.
yeah, Bobi Wine is trying to tell them that they are violent and they are non-violent. Sometimes I feel like Bobi Wine should unleash his supporters some of the time so that they can show their wrath. But again, I sit down and say maybe it's the reasons why leadership abilities are not given to everyone. Bobi Wine is trying to restrain, to speak to the police officers that they are going to pay for each and every violent actions they do. He's trying to tell them they are not going to be stones by the supporters, because I've followed Bobi Wine on different campaign programs. He normally comes out to tell his supporters not to be violent, because it is the window which the regime wants normally to use so that they can kill more people. Let's continue with the video. By the way, we even went on to speak to the police officers. One of the abilities for any leader is to speak to even his opponents. He gave them confidence. He gave, most especially the officers who are down, he gave them everything, support and confidence, and promises that they will love themselves in uniform. Let's continue with the video.
The word is watching you, mother. Andi bantu bagala okuleza abantu Tomero naye tugenda kusanga abantu abatwagala. Nawe omanyi omenya amateeka muganda wange. Omanyi omenya amateeka, you are facilitating between people. Oli musajja muto, omenya amateeka, oli officer of the law. Oyogera nange n'obusungu ninga yayombye naawe. Okay? No, munange muli baswavu, mumanyi kyemukola kikyamu. What you're doing is wrong. Omara naye bamukozesanga gwe, Kaweesa bamukozesa ne bamutta. Bonna babakozesa. Okay? Naawe kennyini laba abaana abato bemukozesa ebintu ebikyamu. Mama tujabanunula, namwe mwine ebizibu tujabanuna, mujja kweyagalira mu uniform, mujja kweyagalira mu magye ne mu poliisi, tujja bawa order za kuba bannayuganda, mujja kweyagala, mujja kuba n'ekitiibwa, ate mujja kusasulwa bulungi.
So all the Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu agambye, he promised these policemen good salary. He promised them a confidence boost in their police uniforms. He promised them good life. By the way, I keep on telling people that when Bobi Wine was being nominated in 2021, is the reason as why even generals got a salary increment. Because during his first speech, he came out to say that he's going to increase salaries of police officers and those and the army. It was the police spokesperson, it was the UPDF person, Felix Twaije, coming out to say that it is impossible. When Genome 7 robbed the 2021 general election, let me call it that way, because it was not, the election was not free and fair. The first thing he did was salary enhancement, but the bad thing that he increased the salaries of the top tier of the army. He never increased the salaries of the junior officers. So, an attribute should be given to Bobi Wine for increasing the salaries of officers, because Genome 7 did it even after. I remember even the spokesperson of CID, Mwine, came out to say that it is impossible to increase army officers' salary. But the government ended up increasing the salaries of some officers. So you clearly see that Bobi Wine has a vision for the men in uniform. And I keep on telling people that the bad politics we've played as a country, by putting the arm at the center stage of politics, it is a risk for disaster. Every country that has put the army in it as a pillar of polling politics, it has slid into a failed state. Because armies across the country, the more they come near to politics, is the more they would want to participate, and their way of participation is coups, violence, beating. Sometimes I keep on telling people that before the army will come for me, or before the army comes for Chagwani. In case of an anarchy, they will first eat those in power. I'm telling you. So it's high time for those in leadership, instead of using the army to settle political scores, they should desist from doing so, because one day they are molding something which is going to devour all of them. In fact, and may yours truly, Mr. Makindi, Kabir Sulaiman Mawaga, the next MP for Makindi's constituency. I'll see you on another one. Peace.